the Yakuza Perk deck. This perk deck is more geared towards armor builds, and it gives you passive bonuses for being within a certain health percentage. As with all the other perk decks, every other aspect of it is shared, so we will not be going over those. However, we will be taking a look at all of the unique aspects of it. For the first part, and I'm not going to say the name of it because I'm going to butcher it, the lower your health, the more armor recovery rate you have. When your health is below 25%, you will gain up to 20% armor recovery rate. Note, entering this state negates regeneration effects. And what that means is if, say, you have a teammate using Gambler, you will not gain health from them using their perk deck. So that's what that means. Anyway, this is kind of like Berserker. You know, when you're under 25% health, you will get some bonuses. Instead of damage, you will get armor recovery rate with this perk deck. For the next part, the lower your health, the more movement speed you gain. When your health is below 25%, you will gain up to 20% movement speed. So, the first part was armor recovery rate, this is movement speed, alright. Next part, the lower your health, the more armor recovery rate you have. When your health is below 25%, you will gain up to an additional 20% armor recovery rate. So that is a total of 40% armor recovery rate so far. Okay. This one, the exact same as the first and the third aspect. Another 20% armor recovery rate, so at this point you have 60%. And for the last part, all Berserker state effects in this perk deck will start at 50% health instead of 25. So unlike Berserker, you don't have to be nearly as low to proc the effects of this perk deck. And of course, perk deck completion bonus, you get a higher chance of getting a quality item, same as usual. So this is definitely geared for armor. We're going to have to see how this holds up against the other perk decks. So why don't we take a look at that in some gameplay. Alrighty guys, the Yakuza Perk deck, or Yakuza, however you pronounce that, I don't really know. Anyway, well, my first impressions of it were, it's pretty lackluster, let's be honest here. It's not very interesting and it doesn't really have too much to it. And after using it for a while, I can definitely say that my first impressions still hold. Mainly, the biggest reason is, after all the other perk decks got buffed, you know, these perk decks that are really geared for tank builds, Infiltrator, Gambler, Sociopath, Muscle, Armor, this one just does not stand out among those. And in fact, it actually seems to be outshined a lot by them, and I would much rather use the other ones. So I guess let me give you a rundown of why I think this. First off, generally, I'm not really a Berserker player. You know, Berserker is the skill in Enforcer that when you're under 25% health, you get extra damage for, at first, just melee, and then for all weapons when you ace the skill. For me, I know when I run Enforcer skills, I would rather put my points into fully loaded and things like shotgun skills and the ammo bag, rather than Berserker. I mean, Berserker's kind of nice, but you know, you can deal without that little extra damage. It's not that bad, you know? So, putting yourself at low health all the time just to get a slight damage boost, not really my cup of tea. So, that's already one thing that, you know, doesn't really stick with me with the Yakuza Perk deck. You know, it doesn't strike me in the right direction. So, with the Yakuza Perk deck, since I have it maxed out right now, you can get all the bonuses when you're in 50% health. But I actually noticed that in the perk deck, it doesn't say that, you know, with Berserker, the actual skill Berserker, it affects that skill as well. So, you know, if you do run the Yakuza perk deck with Berserker, you're still going to have to get under 25% to activate the damage boost. And I think it would be beneficial if it actually raised the bar for the Berserker skill as well. Actually, like I said, I haven't used both the Yakuza Perk deck and Berserker, because I don't really use Berserker in my tank build. So if I'm wrong on that front, then, well, forgive me, but yeah, I haven't actually tried that out myself. Just seems like it would be something that would make sense, you know? So, the movement speed. Well, I do like the movement speed quite a bit, actually, and it's really damn noticeable, especially when you're that slow already, the tank build. You know, when you start getting a little bit of movement speed bonuses, you really start to notice. It is immensely helpful for moving bags and such, you know, in this fire starter that I'm doing. Anytime you gotta move the weapons, you know, it's really bad when you're going up that hill with a tank build, you're slow as molasses, and there are a whole bunch of cops down there shooting at you, right? So it's really nice for moving bags. It's also really nice for getting past like big open streets that usually only dodge users can traverse, because, you know, they have dodge and they can just run around with ease and not get shot by anything. An example would be bank heist with the SWAT turret. You know, sometimes you have to get to the van, but there's a big old turret in the way, so having that little extra movement speed is actually really nice. I really do like that. And, you know, since this perk deck is really geared for tank builds, a lot of times you can't even have a lot of the nice movement speed skills with tank builds, like, you know, Sprinter, Shinobi, Running Gun, Endurance, these ones. So, yeah, if you can't get a build with those skills and you want a little bit of extra movement speed, I mean, I guess the Yakuza Perk deck is very good for that. And I feel like it also acts like Berserker in a way where the lower your health, the more speed you get, so it's actually stacked based on how much health you have. So the lower the health, the faster you'll be, you know, even after you activate it, which is pretty nice. So, you know, if you just get revived off of Death Wish, you're going to be pretty fast. Now we get to the part where I think the perk deck is rather lacking. The armor regen speed. It's the most prominent feature of the perk deck, and yet I think it's one of the weakest as well. So, the regen, yeah, it is really fast. You get like, what, 60% faster regen when you activate the perk deck, and then probably even more when you get to lower health. But the thing about armor regen is that, you know, if you're already in cover, which is usually when your armor is going to regen, staying another second is not that much of a problem. I mean, you know, when you're in cover too, you're probably going to have to reload, and reloading is just another way of killing the time waiting for your armor to regen. So while the armor regen is very fast, that's not really the problem here. You know, the problem is more in the armor recharge delay. The delay between each time your armor recharges. Basically, you know, when you get shot, it waits like 2-3 seconds before you're able to recharge your armor again. That is really the biggest problem here, because when you're playing on higher difficulties and you're getting shot a lot, you have to make sure that you find cover to, you know, give your armor time to recharge. It's not really the speed of the armor getting up, but rather the delay between the armor recharging and you taking more shots. That's really the biggest problem. So when you're running this perk deck, the armor regen is still the same, and the shots, you know, anytime you get shot, anytime you know, proc something, like, you know, you're by too many enemies or something, I'm pretty sure that's a mechanic, it just delays your armor regenning. And when you're running tank builds with all the armor skills, like Iron Man for ICTV, Bulletproof for the extra armor as well as the regen speed, and Die Hard for the, you know, again, regen speed, that faster regen from the perk deck doesn't really help that much. You know, it's already pretty fast. You're gonna be making it really fast, but does it really need to be that fast? You know, the armor regen? I don't know. I think I would much rather prefer the other perk decks that increase your survivability with like damage reductions or just regenning health in general. And well, I know on higher difficulties like Death Wish and such, maintaining low health is fairly difficult. I mean, a few shots of anything can eat away your armor, and then, you know, a shot or two after that can take away your remaining health. And it's a fairly difficult way to play. It is also fairly rewarding, should you be able to run that way. You know, you don't have to eat meds all that often, and it's fairly nice, but, you know, it is a lot more difficult, and, you know, I don't see the reason why you would challenge yourself in that way. I mean, if the perk deck were to give you more buffs and bonuses at low health, I think it'd be a pretty interesting way to play, considering that most of the perk decks these days have to do with regen and, you know, pretty much just upping yourself at all times. I like that whole idea of, you know, being backed into a corner, but still being more powerful, that kind of deal. It's very nice. But, yeah, the armor regen speed, it's pretty underwhelming. I mean, it's just, I don't know. With the armor recharge delay, doesn't really help when you have super fast regenning armor, but the armor just never regens because it's always being delayed. So, yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about the perk deck. I mean, it's probably not going to see any spot in my set skills, let's be honest. It is kind of fun, though. Like I said, I do enjoy that movement speed. It's pretty nice. It helps minimize the distance between a tank and a dodge build, right? Somewhere in the middle. Something like that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll leave you to it.
Just leave me here. Never mind, okay. We'll think of this.